Yes, I'm around.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. Yay. Hello, Sylvia. Welcome, everybody, to Coffee Talk. I'm so excited to have my friend Sylvia Puentes here.
I just want to, is it okay that I have juice instead of coffee?
Yes, I'm past my coffee. I have water. So
Just making sure I wasn't breaking a rule. But yes, hello, everyone. So happy to join you, Julie, especially today.
yes, after global bars, I'm
Oh,
like, let's just mess up the hair a little bit to have that after bars hair.
I had to slick mine back. It was so, whew. But yeah, just what an incredible weekend of Global Bars Day and the Global Bars class with Dr. Dane. And the energy that showed up for me today is this energy of just play, creation, and a level of speed with it all that's showing up. It's just phenomenal.
Cool. Yeah. So let's chat about that. Somebody said, yeah, bars hair. Yay, bars hair.
Wear it proud, wear it, yes.
Totally. So, a lot of people think that they know what creation is, but what if it's way beyond that?
Yeah.
So what do you know about creation?
Well, it's interesting. I think I always had a point of view or thought that creation was the actualization of something. So if I was going to create a business, it was the actually having the business, or if it was a book, it was the physical part of the book. So I always had an idea like, well, I'm not creating anything. And I had this judgment, if people ever asked, why are you creative? I would say no. I'd say no because of all these ideas. And Julie that knows me is laughing.
Well, and it's so true that as soon as you judge it, it like disappears. So all the people who have all this judgment about, I'm not this and I'm not that.
Yeah. And then I would just right after that sentence that no, I'm not creative. But if you're asking if I can perceive possibilities and I, move with possibilities, oh yeah, like I'm a possibiliter if you had to give it a label, right? But I never got truly, and I still say I'm exploring what creation is. But recently I heard Gary say two things. I think at one point he said that he was asking himself what creation was. And he goes, yeah. So then I thought, oh, I'd like a BMW. And that threw me off completely because I thought, what do you mean asking for a BMW is creation? Like, I was just like, does not compute with what I had.
Mm.
And then I started to look at that. It's like, oh, am I actually creating with every ask? And so I started to just kind of look at what that was like in my life. Because again, just kind of reiterating that I thought that creation was once you had some physical form. And I never got that part of creation is our ask. And the most recent thing he said in the 6-day event that we just had at El Lugar, he saw creation is choice. And then I thought,
so many times, yeah,
yeah,
is choice. And it like twists your brain a little bit because you're like, wait a second, what is he talking about? But yeah, there's creation, there's generation, the energy of it, and then there's actualization. So it's like those three together.
yeah. So oftentimes we have them glummed, right? At least that's how it was for me. So I finally heard it just recently again. I thought, oh, fuck. If creation is choice, then I've been choosing a lot. Oh, I am very creative. Like there is this creative energy in my world. Not about making it right or wrong, but for me, it was a sense it's like, wow, like what else can I create by my ask and the choices I'm making today? So for example, today after Global Bars weekend and, leading that event here live in Houston, off the point of view could be, oh, you're tired, you got to rest. And some bodies require that. That wasn't what my body required. But I almost went into that this morning. So instead, I was up at dark and I went to Pilates at 7:30. And it was like, my body is so grateful. Like it's been this generative energy. And I've just been boom, 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 boom with all these other creations, some being, starting up, others that are already in existence. But there's this ball of energy, trying to describe it, but of enthusiasm, joy, and play, that possibility. And I'm like, wow, where have we made creation like a place where we can judge ourselves? So if you didn't judge what you have created, what you can create, what would you choose today? It really, for me, it is like, oh, you mean I open my eyes and I get up and that's creation. Like it's a choice. I got up. And then it's like, okay, so now I go to Pilates. So for me, it's this ongoing place. Like, what else would I like to choose that would create the energy, the space, the consciousness, the future that I would like to be living into? So, I was going to head out to California, chose not to go. It's like, that's another choice. And that's creating something. So,
we should also look at like the uncreate, because with access clearing statement, we uncreate and destroy creations that we've created in the past that are no longer working. And it's almost like without having this realization or awareness about choice being a creation, we're uncreating the things that we'd like to actualize, and we're not necessarily employing the uncreate for the things that we don't desire.
well, that's interesting because I've never considered it as uncreating, but rather changing. Like even within my own team, there's so much that's changed. And, the gratitude of every single person that's worked with me years ago. My very first coordinator that I had for my creations, I just saw her recently in Argentina. And there's such this gratitude, play, and joy. And I was like, wow, what if there was like no, because oftentimes when we go to uncreating, like say a relationship, right? There's sometimes this, I had bought in the point of view that in order to do that successfully, I had to be upset, disconnect, separate. And what I've discovered is that that isn't light for me. Like the lightness is really the gratitude, what we did get to create, and now how would we like to change that? So, we do destroy and uncreate with the clearing statement. And for me, it's destroying and uncreating what's not true. And so for me, the lies of the separation and the heaviness of what it should be isn't really true for us. Like it's not required in order to, take a turn into something different. That's, as you're asking this or brought up this energy, I'm just being aware of that. And so part of what I'm aware of now is that you still get to then allow yourself to receive from everyone and everything you've ever created. If you don't judge it right or wrong, good or bad, my relationship, my, other projects or whatever, if I don't judge that, they didn't last as long or they didn't generate what I thought they would, or, it's like, oh, what a gift. Then I can use it to create something different in the future.
Yeah. So what are you creating now?
And it's interesting. What am I creating? I mean, I enjoy, like you do, Julie, I'm sure, it's that space of facilitating, the access consciousness classes. And, I've acquired many specialty classes. So the joy of facilitating anywhere from, bars class, foundation, right voice for you, 3-day body class, joy of business, right riches for you. Like that's been part of this energy. And recently in the last CF training, Gary's all like, many of you have all these specialties, but what are you actually creating with them? So, I'm looking, it's like, okay, what would I like to create with these specialties? Which one is more fun for me? Which one is generative? And, there's that sense that all of them are.
Yeah.
And yet it's like, I'm creating right voice for you is waking up again, and I'm headed to Colombia. We're looking at, creating one out in Atlanta in the US. Right now there's a new creation here in Houston for a foundation and a 3-day body class. So there's all these, and there's future creations like, heading out to India, Canada. And it's just this generative energy of what else can I contribute, be, receive, and invite people to. I was just in Argentina and I left and we created 2 more classes. So in January, I'm headed back there to facilitate a 3-day body class and a right riches for you in 2 different cities. So, but that's that joy and ease. And one of the things I'd like to invite us all to ask is, what is creation for you? Like, what is that energy when you're in creation? Because one of the things I had not acknowledged, and years ago, Dane took me to the side. He goes, Sylvia, creation for you is easy. And I looked at it energetically. I was like, yeah. He's all, creation for you is fun. Yeah. He's all, then have more fun. And in that playful energy of fun in my life, in every area, is a generative energy that contributes to everything else I'm creating. So this choice of going to Pilates this morning seems like, I could have jumped on meetings, I could have jumped on all sorts of things, right? Or calls and different things I had to take care of. But to gift myself, that's a generative energy for everything else. And I tend to enjoy my work so much that I can work all day and don't often give myself that space.
Mhm.
So, now I'm looking forward to go ride my horse out here in Texas, and I have a skydiving ticket I may take up in the next couple of days. But see, that's the energy. It's like,
Oh my
but
gosh.
and the other thing I'd like to invite us is like, how do you create, and what's that speed and enthusiasm of your living? Because this speed and enthusiasm, I don't expect anybody else to have it. And I think I've oftentimes waited for someone to play with me. I have this
Mhm.
incredible roommate here in Houston, Connor Hill. And there's one time I was in another city. He's all, do you want to jump out of a plane? I'm all, yeah. He's all, so there was this like special promotion, but he has this level of enthusiasm and does these things with his body, skydiving, shooting guns, all sorts of things. I was like, now we're talking. So it's like, who and what else can you add to your life that will have that enthusiasm or share that with you? It doesn't have to be just one person. And if you don't have anyone right now, what could you be willing to choose just for you? And not have to wait for anyone. Yeah, so that's a piece on creation. Which seems I've had like 10 cups of coffee, but this is just the speed.
No, it doesn't, because coffee has a different like
Uh,
energy to it. And this is so much more acoustic.
mm,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else do I want to ask you? What
Yeah.
about talk to the entities, Sylvia?
I'm laughing because I just listed all the specialties I have, and that one is knocking on my door. It's
I've
come up in different
yeah.
conversations, and so we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But you bring up an energy with talk to the entities about this willingness to receive as well, that I know talk to the entities invites. That I wonder what else is possible that I've, been refusing to engage with. Do you know I've never taken a talk to the entities class? And I've been playing with the access consciousness tools for 14 years. So the only quote unquote.
I know. A lot of people stay away from that one. And it's funny. I used to really love them. And then I was like, well, I took that. So, but at a certain point, I think it was 2020 when everything was shut down, it really pinged, and I chose to become a talk to the entities facilitator.
Wow.
And actually, during CF this year in Mexico, I was asked to facilitate a talk to the entities in Mexico, maybe early next year. So
Beautiful.
we're playing with, getting people aware of me and talk to the entities, and who would be interested. Maybe you want to come.
Give me the dates.
All right.
But yes, that is, I'd say, I had back in the day, Julie, do you remember those days when we would have a core class, and before that core class started, so like at 8 a.m., there'd be a short little intro. And then at lunchtime, there'd be another facilitator doing another topic intro. And then after the class, there was an evening intro, which right now would just be insane to even do, unkind to the bodies and all. But back then, whatever that was, I got to hear Shannon a lot in different classes. And so I did get to play with some of those tools that she was giving us. And I've had a couple different moments of engaging with entities, and I started to play with office hours. So for those of you that don't know, office hours is the moment you create a space for yourself to invite that, I would say, the entities that are coming and knocking on your door that would either like to be facilitated or contribute. And I'm sure there's way more, but that's all I had at the moment. I started to play with that, and I'd fall asleep at times, and it'd be this like half relaxed, half asleep kind of zone. And so I did it once, I did it twice, and I think it might have been the third time where I had this moment where it was that relaxed, closed eyes, dim lights, and I started to sense these energies. And it was quickly the sense of, okay, divide yourselves, get in line, first one up. And as I'm speaking to you now, I'm acknowledging all of that. I'm acknowledging how much receiving I had in that moment to actually acknowledge the shift in changes and energies I was aware of, because I could perceive them moving, scooting back, getting in line. And then that first energy coming up, and it was like, oh, wait, I know this energy. Grandma Celia, I was just in the midst of my separation with my now ex-husband. And it's his grandmother, Grandma Celia. And it was, yes. But in between getting that message of not hearing as we know it, not seeing as you know it, but all of that and more, she gave me a couple messages. And the next energy that came up, I know this one too. And that was my grandfather, Papa Cruz. And when I acknowledged him, I could then perceive all these other entities on the side that we call about having, our teams. And we all cried. Like there was this acknowledgement of acknowledging them, acknowledging that I was aware of them, receiving them. I sobbed. And in that moment, my grandfather came up closer, like to hug me, it felt. And I was like, whoa, whoa. And then
Too
it was
much.
like, that was the limit of my receiving. I was like, ah.
But isn't that cool? Because you can have as much as you like, and you can tell them, back off.
Yes.
So you get
Yes.
to see how potent and powerful you are at creation and energy and receiving.
Yes. And so from what I get is that you take those elements out into your life and into your other creations. That's a huge acknowledgement of who we are as infinite beings and our incredible awareness. So, let me know about your class in Mexico and if it fits in my schedule, because I get there's something there, whether I'll facilitate the specialty or not. I get there's an invitation of acknowledgement, which I get is such a big part of us actually creating what we'd like to create in our lives and in the world. Is like, you got to be willing to acknowledge your talents and abilities, and the gift of you, because we each are so different. There's no one else like you. And the gift of you being more of that, receiving that, acknowledging it, claiming it, will just make a greater world. So
Totally. And it's like each one of these specialties, you take and learn the tools and you apply them in the way that you apply them. And it's so different.
Yeah.
It's like, I almost wish all facilitators would invite any facilitator to come to their class for free, as a contribution to the class, but also to each other. I always do that. Like anybody who's a facilitator can come, and it's like we would just, I feel like it would exponentially pop open even more. Because you get to see each one of us and the sparkly facets of creation in totally different ways. Like some of the stuff that I think is so cool about Shannon and her classes is like, it goes further and further each time. It's not like, oh, here's talk to the entities and it's in this next box. And it's the same thing with Jane and Gary. Like they're always pushing it forward. And like the things that I learned in this last Talk to the Entities Summit, I actually used like those energies and those awarenesses to change physical things in the world. So it's not just for beings without bodies, but you can use it for beings with bodies to like move them away or someone closer. It's really fascinating.
Yeah. And in that piece of, again, acknowledging what we can actually be and do. that perhaps no one has ever talked about. And awesome. Very different energy. And now I have my incredible roommate, yes, who's bringing me a juice.
Oh, yeah.
Or a
I
cup.
got the juice.
Okay, I'll get it later. Thank you.
Naked? Are you on like a-
He's naked, he
are you on a
says.
live?
I'm on a
Oh,
live.
come on. Say hi. Bump the ratings.
I'm all like, this is a creation, and it's like, it's so awesome. You know, I've been living with Connor here in Houston when I'm in Houston for, I guess, a couple of years now, maybe. I've lost track, but it's such a beautiful gift because that was also a choice, like, you know, and we had the conversation. It's like, nope, you know, makes me dinner, coffee, and we both contribute to each other. And one time it was like, wow, like if we had, one time sex came up and it's like, well, if we copulated, would I be having dinner, like, or coffee? And he's all, nope, I'm gonna forget it. I'll go somewhere else. So that's this ongoing joke because people are like, do you guys have sex? I'm like, no,
No.
but it's this beautiful gifting and receiving, but that has also been a choice. That has been a creation. And
Mm,
it's been a very kind, nurturing choice. And so again, what if every choice creates your future? And this is one that works now. Now, you know, it doesn't mean I'm in a relationship with him. He just had this beautiful baby. And I was like, that's it. My Connor has left.
he has a baby.
He has a baby. Beautiful Sebastian.
How did he have a baby?
Well, he has a baby with Uliana, and
Okay.
had a beautiful, beautiful baby boy. So they were here for a while and they're not here right now. But yeah,
Huh.
they had a beautiful child.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
now I
exciting.
get a little Sebastian every now and then.
Mm,
Precious magical being. But anyways, just another way of creating
Yeah.
and you know, adding and creating more. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is really interesting. And especially like after this weekend of all the bars being run, how many of you out there are even more aware? Even more aware. And it's like there was one point in between Global Bars Day and Global Bars class that I don't remember what time it was, early in the morning, or maybe, I don't know, like 1 o'clock in the morning or something. I had the hardest time sleeping and I was so in my head. And that's not usual for me, especially when I've been running bars all day.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, what awareness is this? Like, what? Like every time we choose bars or another tool, we gain more awareness. Every class, we gain more
Yes.
awareness. And it's like, wow, we could get so thrown by that awareness if we're not paying attention, asking questions.
So I would invite with that people to start to ask as things come up that seem heavy or dense or you can't sleep. It's like, okay, what talent and ability do I have here? Like, what is this? Because, you know, oftentimes, and this is the gift of all the access consciousness tools, but rather than going to the conclusion or the judgment of it, how do you begin to see what is that? Like it might be an indication of a capacity, ability that you have. For me, one of the recent, and it just yesterday, there was this moment, I sometimes have something what I call Tourette's, like where it's just, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I'm becoming aware of, it's like, oh, that's my awareness, my psychic ability to pick up on people's thoughts, and things ping me and I can look at someone and get a huge download, all sorts of things. So I'm beginning to play and trust that more. So yesterday, I was walking out of the hotel, headed back to the venue after a short lunch break. And I look over and I see no, even before I looked over, I started to say something about this man I had seen in the room taking photos. And then all of a sudden I looked to the left and then I looked back and I continue this conversation. It's like, oh, I should find him. I'm gonna wait. That's him.
Mm.
And so I stopped and then I'm gonna go talk to him. But I was like, it was like the before and the after ping of that topic coming out of my mouth. That
Mm.
was, so I'm going, wow, that's fast. So now I'm
Yeah.
exploring, it's like, what else am I aware of that quickly that I'm not acknowledging? So I went back and, you know, I said, oh, you know, were you the gentleman that was saying that? And it was him. And so now we got these beautiful pictures from him. But I was like, wow, that's amazing. And most people I've gone to doubt. I've gone to, oh my God, I just got to shut my mouth. I'm talking about nonsense stuff, and yet it's like, oh, I'm actually aware of something. Is it relevant? Does it belong to me? Those are incredible questions. And so again, if we didn't go to the wrongness of us, what could we begin to acknowledge of our talents, abilities? And I don't know how long we have, Jolie. Do you do 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a few more minutes.
Great. Because then I'd also like to close it, given that we started with this, creation. What is creation for you? I just would like to invite you all to something too that, Gary had this incredible class about creating your life. And not too long ago, maybe like a couple of years ago. Time is funny.
No, time is weird.
Yeah. But he did invite us, and I'm still exploring this. He asked us to write 10 things that we would like to have in our future. And this is a part of creating with your ask, but also beginning to acknowledge, what is it for you? How much money, what kind of business, what kind of people, and I guess if we don't start to acknowledge what we would like and what would be fun for us, or it's not going to show up. So it's beginning to go, okay, what are 10 things I would like in my life? And I notice where some things I just kind of leave, but I'm not asking. I kind of say I would want, but not really ask for it. So for this new list I would like to fly first class everywhere I go, at least. Private jet, I haven't been willing to ask for yet. And just notice that, because I wasn't willing to ask for first class. It was like, oh, economy plus and business is fine. I'm little.
It's really funny. I've been willing to ask for somebody else's private jet, but not my own.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I've had the pleasure of seeing a lot of creations, like the beautiful property. I would invite everybody to go check out El Lugar. Their website is el-lugar, lugar.com. I was just on the property. This all started with an ask, and to see this venue being completed, a class already there, the little casitas, the property, all of it. I'm like, wait a moment, where do we have these beautiful creations that other people are creating? You think, oh, well, they can create it.
And you know what? I even remember like the last time he was at this this venue in Costa Rica, like probably 19 years ago, before he even asked for this. He was just like, I'm done with this place and the way that the man who owned it was doing things. And he got so angry, but it was like not anger in a wrongness, but in this potency to out-create it. And he's like, we're going to create our own space.
Boom, here it is.
So that we don't have to be at the effect of people going back on their word and, things falling apart. Yeah.
And it's beautiful to see the elegance, the care, everything from the staff to it's like a museum almost, because every casita is different. So you walk into, we weren't even in the official venue yet. We're in like the reception area, but every corner, all the light fixtures, everything that, but this gift of seeing that that's available. So again, what are the 10 things that you would like in your future? And not that it has to just be 10, but start with that. Start somewhere. And yeah, how much more fun can we have with creating the life that would be worth living for each and every one of us? It's like, so that, thank you for the invitation to speak about this topic. It matches all that generative energy going on today for me. And I know that greater is possible for all of us. And if the Access Consciousness tools are contributing to you, keep using them. Don't give up, never give in, and never quit.
Yay. Thank you so much, Sylvia. I'm
You're
so
welcome.
happy to have known you for so long and to see everything that you're creating. It's really inspiring.
Awesome. Awesome. And I got to say, I still remember your nickname for me years ago, and it was Bubbles. And I think this is part of that energy, is that just, I keep bubbling. Someday maybe I'll pop, but we'll see. That might be another conversation. Thank you, Julie. Thank you,
All right.
everyone. Enjoy your beautiful
Bye,
day.
everybody. You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Ciao.